Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I'm from the internet. Today we are going to be talking about Mitch McConnell and a tale of two stories about the same story. Now, for those who are not aware, there's recently a very controversial voter rights bill passed in the state of Georgia. It limits voting rights. And what was a state's issue rapidly turned into a national issue. And since the political disappearing of Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell has once again become the de facto elder statesman and unofficial leader of the entire Republican Party. So, of course, all eyes were on him. So what I want to do is take a look at exactly what Mitch McConnell's up to and then show you two very different tales about the same quote that he gave. All right, here we go. Let's check in with Mitch.
Help you? Are you a member of the Turtle Club?
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly, but am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Sorry, hit the wrong tab there. Okay, now let's check in on Mitch McConnell. Stay out of politics. Republican leader Mitch McConnell tells United States CEOs, warns of consequences. U.S. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell lashed out at corporate America on Monday, warning CEOs to stay out of the debate over a new voting law in Georgia that has been criticized as restricting votes among minorities and the poor. Fun side note here, in my entire 40 plus years on the face of this planet, I have never heard of a voting law in the United States of America being passed that restricts voting from middle-class, wealthy, or predominantly white communities. Weird how that happens, huh? In a sign of a growing rift in the decades-old alliance between the Conservative Party and U.S. corporations, McConnell said, "My advice to the corporate CEOs of America is to stay out of politics. Don't pick sides in these big fights." McConnell warned companies there could be risks for turning on the party, but he didn't elaborate. Corporations will invite serious consequences if they become a vehicle for far-left mobs to hijack our country from outside the constitutional order, McConnell told a news conference in his home state of Kentucky. Really good how we just kind of sped past the decades-old alliance between corporations and the entire right wing of the United States government. Yeah, let's gloss right over that part and get to the part where Mitch McConnell starts talking about the radical leftists and how outside of constitutional bounds they are. We're going to put a pin in that part, but we'll get back to the constitutional and unconstitutional portion of this show very shortly. Big business ties with Republicans began fraying under former President Donald Trump's leadership, and the party focus on voting restrictions has soured businesses embracing diversity as key to their workforce and customer base. That's a coded way of saying that corporations are just playing identity politics to make more money and become more popular on a trend. Major Georgia employers Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines have spoken out against the law signed by Governor Brian Kemp, and Major League Baseball pulled the 2021 All-Star game out of the state over it. Quote, "I found it completely discouraging to find a bunch of corporate CEOs getting in the middle of politics," Mitch McConnell said. Trump spent months after losing his re-election bid falsely claiming that his defeat was the result of widespread fraud. He failed in dozens of legal challenges. Nonetheless, lawmakers in 47 states this year have introduced a total of 361 bills imposing new restrictions on voting, according to the Brennan Center for Justice. The Georgia law brought a backlash from some U.S. companies with strong ties to the state. Coca-Cola's CEO James Quincy called the law unacceptable and a step backwards. Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian said the entire rationale for this bill was based on a lie that there was widespread voter fraud in Georgia in the 2020 election. So yes, members of the Republican Party engaged in puffery in order to whip up a problem that wasn't there and then sell themselves as the only possible solution to that problem. Now, that story was brought to you by the St. Louis Dispatch. Seems to be a fairly good story. It has some quotes in it. It talks about important things that are going on. If you read that story, you'd be like, okay, the St. Louis Dispatch has hooked me up, given me the deets. Now I know a little bit more about what's going on. Now let me show you a different article about the same speech that Mitch McConnell gave. See if you can spot the difference. McConnell warns businesses to stay out of politics, says it's stupid. Now, this article was filed by the Associated Press and has appeared in a number of outlets, including here on the PBS website. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said on Tuesday that it's quite stupid for corporations to speak out politically, intensifying his warnings for big business to stand down as Congress delves into voting rights, President Joe Biden's infrastructure package, and other defining issues. Speaking in Kentucky, the GOP leader said he still wants companies to give freely to political campaigns. But as lawmakers wrestle with big issues, he warned CEOs off the kind of public statements made by Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola, and Major League Baseball in opposition to Georgia's new restrictive voting laws. Quote, "It's quite stupid to jump in the middle of a highly controversial issue," he told reporters. "Republicans drink Coca-Cola too, and we fly, and we like baseball. It's irritating one hell of a lot of Republican fans." The colorful language from the typically reserved Republican leader shows the dilemma ahead for the party in the post-Trump era. Many Trump-style lawmakers are bucking big business and leaning more heavily into the populist, working-class themes championed by the former president. Wait, when the hell was Bernie Sanders president? Even as they rely on deep-pocketed business donors to fuel their political campaigns. By wading into the debate, McConnell is situating himself in the emerging culture wars with the progressive groups that are pressuring businesses not to sit silently on voting rights, gun violence, and other big issues before Congress. Well, I've certainly learned a lot more from this article than I did the first article. At some point, we're going to have to talk about the "it's totally cool for you to still give us money anyway" portion of the show. But I'm still going to skip over that for one more second to talk about this. McConnell wants to cancel free speech. That's right. Corporations. Mitch McConnell doesn't want to hear your sass. He doesn't want you giving him any lip. Just wants you giving him a lot of money.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Congress will take center stage in many of these battles, the Senate in particular, as Biden's $2.3 trillion infrastructure package and other priorities head for votes. They have the right to participate in the political process. If I were running a major corporation, I'd stay out of politics. But first, give me some money. That's right. Billy Badass over here wants to make sure that everybody shuts their goddamn mouths and writes him some goddamn checks. This not only seems absolutely ridiculous, but I'd have to say, unconstitutional? Well, according to Vox, McConnell's threat to punish corporations opposing GOP policies is indeed unconstitutional. Cancel culture is alive and well in the GOP. On Sunday, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell leveled a very odd threat against corporate America for a senior lawmaker in a nation governed by the First Amendment. You know, it's that one before the Second Amendment, which is the one y'all absolutely love to death. So I figured maybe some of you would know about it, but I guess Mitch is a little, slow on the subject.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Now, McConnell did not elaborate on how exactly he plans to cancel corporations that express left-leaning political views, but many of his fellow Republican lawmakers have. After Major League Baseball announced that it would move its 2021 All-Star Game from Atlanta because the state of Georgia enacted a law limiting voter access, several Republican lawmakers threatened to retaliate against the league by stripping it of an exemption from federal antitrust laws. So, of course, Mike Lee front of the line on the fucking outrage train. Woo, woo! We're gonna punish you. He's literally shitty Skeletor, okay? Don't at me. Similarly, after Delta Airlines spoke out against the same antitrust voting law, Georgia's GOP-controlled House voted to strip away sales tax exemption for the jet fuel that primarily benefits Delta. It's not hard to understand the politics of these threats. Both Major League Baseball and Delta enjoy special exemptions from the law that aren't enjoyed by many other companies or by individual Americans. I'm shocked by that one. Hold on. You ready? Here's my shock face. Hold on. Yeah, that was it. That was literally my shock face. But using the power to make laws to punish critics of a particular policy, especially if that policy is itself designed to restrict voting, is inconsistent with democratic values. And so the Constitution forbids this sort of behavior by lawmakers. It is unconstitutional for the government to retaliate against anyone for expressing a political view that members of the government do not share. Now, of course, for me, this is somewhat of a dilemma because I loathe the concentration of power that both politicians and corporations wield over workers and consumers. And of course, this is just going to turn into a tennis match between these two gigantic groups that have trillions of dollars and unlimited resources and more fucking lawyers than you could shake a stick at. And the net in the middle of that tennis court is just going to be the working class and the people who can barely afford to consume these products in the first place. And it doesn't matter which side this ball eventually lands on, the people, the middle, the workers, they're going to end up losing no matter who wins. So maybe, just maybe, this would be a good time for people to find other like-minded people, to organize, to get together, and to make sure you start looking out after each other, the working class, the consumer, the people who live in the communities in these states who are going to end up negatively impacted if either corporations or the government end up somehow seizing even more power. Till next time, my name is James. I am from the internet and I'm out. Peace.